Let's try this again. Hey guys, Regina Paula here. I'm actually just turning my head because I invited the podcast host of the Tao of Self Confidence, however you want to say it, potato potato. She is SheenaYapChan, and we were just having a conversation, and I said, "Oh, there she is. Hello, there she is. Are you able to request to join? Let's see. Okay, I've turned requests on. Oh, there you go. Oh, oh. Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good.
We got it to work.
Finally.
Anyway, so I've invited SheenaYapChan. She's the host of the podcast, The Tao of Self Confidence, which airs, what, 5 times a week?
Yeah, Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. And she's been super consistent ever since she started. And how long have you had that podcast?
It started in September of 2015.
So, hey, Sherry, how's it going? Just saying hello there. So it's been almost, what, a year and a half, 2 years. And
Two and a
actually,
half.
this is a really big week because big month because you had 30,000 downloads.
Yes, in 1 month, which I never thought would happen. So I'm pretty excited.
And then your biggest day was,
My biggest download day was about 2,500 in 1 day. So it's pretty cool. Like I've never seen numbers like that before. And it's pretty exciting to know that there's people out there who are listening to me.
I know that's crazy. And, I just know, I mean, I've known you for a few years and it's really cool to see you grow. And I've had you on my podcast for a couple of interviews. And the same, the underlying question really is, what does being courageously free mean to you, which you mentioned in those podcasts. But my question for you now is, how has your content been able to help you live courageously free? Because obviously your content is through audio, which is your podcast.
So for me, I've always wanted a platform where people can, download content, right? And blogs are great, but not everyone can read a blog while they're driving or jogging or doing chores. And when I stumbled onto podcasts, I thought it was great because people can download this at any given moment and listen to it at literally any time. I've heard single moms who said they listen to it while they have to get their kids ready for school. I've heard people, they listen to it on their drive when they're stuck in traffic or when they're jogging or when they're at the subway. So it's like, you can create content and schedule it, and then it can, you pick the date to release it, and then it's out there. And when a person subscribes to your podcast, they get notification right away without you being there because they subscribe to your podcast. So I really love this platform. And with the trends, a lot of people are going to podcast because it's a great tool. It's a great platform. So yeah.
And so, I mean, really, one of the biggest things for you is not only that you live the life of being self-confident, but being able to put this podcast out and actually have people listen to you really comes down to your consistency as well. You've been doing 5 times a week for a year and a half. Like what I'd say, what is one tip that you can give our content creators here on how to be consistent? What
Well,
is one tip?
you gotta love what you do. You gotta love what you're doing. Because if you don't love it, you're gonna quit. I mean, there's days where I want to throw my laptop against the wall because I get frustrated, but I know it's because I love my podcast so much. I love connecting with people. I love hearing the stories of women who have gone through, obstacles and being able to overcome their self-confidence struggles, that it keeps me going.
Yeah.
So I think that's number one tip. You gotta love what you do. You gotta have a big purpose, because if not, you're gonna stop.
Yeah. And so what are some of the things that you're thinking of doing in the future? Are you going to do, as you continue with this podcast, what are some things that it has actually led you into? Because I know that you attended a few conferences and done a few things. What are some of those things, that the content has helped you build in your own business?
Well, for me, it's really helped me build, like a brand, right? People know me through my podcasts. I've been invited to write articles, to be interviewed, do video calls like this, and it's amazing that I never thought this would ever happen. And just, podcasting for me is the easiest way to connect with people of a higher influence. Like I never thought I'd, connect with people who have like a million fans on Instagram. It's just, you never
It's
think that
crazy.
could happen, but yeah, it's just as simple as sending a simple email asking if they would love to be interviewed, and you'd be surprised who say yes. I mean, of course I get rejected, it's a part of life, but those things happen in any part of your life, and you just have to learn to move on and keep going. So, yeah, I mean, podcasting has been great. I have a lot of people come up to me versus like me going to them, which is great. Because it was just something I never expected.
What's one of the biggest shockers during your podcast history? Or like the most amazing thing? I don't know, something that feels, yeah.
Sorry.
What's one of the most shocking things that have happened, real or really just something that happened that's during your podcast history that's been really amazing that you were totally surprised? Maybe it was
Well,
a interview or
I mean, I've had a lot of women share their stories. One was, there's a famous, I guess, actress in the Philippines who's pretty much like the most followed family in the country. And so I decided to just send an email asking if they'd like to be interviewed. And I had no expectations because I'm like, I'm sure this person's busy, got a million things to do. But, the fact that they said yes was like, oh, like it was such a surprise. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I remember when I interviewed her, I was like stuttering because I was still in shock. I was a little bit nervous. But it was okay right after that, and the fact that she just shared it on her Facebook page of like 8 million fans, I was like, wow. I never thought
that's
that,
insane.
yeah, I never thought that could ever happen. Like, I'm just one person who decided to create this because I always thought, there was no support system for women, especially Asian women, when it comes to confidence, and hearing these stories can help them realize what's possible in themselves and can go out there and live the life that they want. Other things were just stories. Oh, actually, another thing was I went to an event, and they featured an article that I wrote in their magazine, which was pretty cool because I didn't expect that as well. And it's just, you never know what might happen when you just start something. I mean, even like, being asked to be a contributor for Mind Valley. I mean, that was a total shock. I didn't think that would have happened. you know it
That's
was just,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, I was like, what am I going to write about? But when you do something that you love doing, and that that it's creating a positive impact in the world, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing is that just a few years ago, I met with you in different parts of the states, and we were just hanging out, and then holy cow, your podcast freaking blew up. So it's awesome.
Thanks. And it's funny because I was so scared of starting it too.
We've had many a conversation about that. It was
Yeah.
awesome. But I just wanted to thank you again for spending time with me, and loved hearing about how content has helped you really create a courageously free life. And if any of you content creators listening, if you want to listen to her previous podcasts and listen to the podcast that she's well, her podcast, I'll put a link in the description in a bit. But yeah, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.